Welcome to Chapman's Corner, where today you're riding on board my F1000 race car here at the legendary Brands Hatch circuit. Now, this race is about to get extremely wet and extremely challenging, but we are currently on dry tyres, slick tyres, and we're about to launch for the race start. And we get a good one, a lot of wheel spin, and we have to go up the unfortunate inside line here on a rookie, but we manage to get by without getting too squeezed. My teammate Tom goes ahead of me there, but I just brake a little bit later and go into turn one. The guys are 4 wide ahead, dealing with some oversteer there, and coming into Druids here, where we're trying to pick a line. The green car there is Matt Higginson, the eventual F1000 champion. We're trying to hold on around the outside of him, but he's got the inside line for the left-hander. Now you can see the rain starting to come down here if you look carefully. It's on the camera lens. We're all sliding around a bit on the dry tyres, and then it is really chucking it down. It's gone from dry to a little bit damp to now soaking wet. The safety car light has been called out there. Of course, this is no longer safe to be driving around. So the safety car is going to come out. We're going to do one more lap, but I'm going to skip that. And we're going to then come back into the pits, where you're going to watch what happens during that time, which was a pit stop. So we all got onto wet tyres. I got advice from my driver coach, Matt, to understand what the hell I'm going to do for this race, because it's the first time I've ever raced in the wet in the F1000 or any race car, as it's the first race car I've driven. And of course, you get a bit nervous for the wet. As Lauda said, it's one of those where it really makes a difference in the driver. Now, I back myself. However, what I don't back is the fact I have never pushed this car in the wet. It's hard to understand where the limit of the tyre is. And to be fair, these are new tyres this year. So I'm getting called in by Liam here. And you've got to respect the mechanics, the teams, everyone that basically is looking to make sure that we get 4 tyres on 3 different cars as quickly as possible and as safely as possible.
Wait!
There I'm just shouting out to one of the guys who was actually stood in the garage with an umbrella, which made no sense. And I'm sat up there like a puppet in the wet. So of course, get that brought over. Liam working hard there. And again, I just respect the teams and the mechanics here, because they're standing out in the pouring rain, working, it's cold, working hard, trying to get all these cars done. Now, here's my driver coach.
The faster you can get past these people, even better. Okay.
Do you know what they're doing?
Yeah, it's going to be a full restart, but on wet. Okay. And then obviously it's reverse grip, so all the fast guys are near you. So it's going to be whoever gets past you for the fastest.
Yeah.
This works right into our hands.
Okay.
Okay. Remember, tight line out of Druids for the traction.
Tight line out of Druids for traction.
Yeah. And work on that speed and paddock hill. Alright, matey?
Yeah.
And think about how late Tom was braking into Druids as well. He's like literally like only 2 clients earlier than the one launch. Right?
Okay. Race start first, yeah?
Yeah. Granny start off the line. Literally like bust Granny at the lights. Don't get any more spin.
Mate, I can't granny these cars.
Just do the best you can.
Okay.
If it wheel spins, it wheel spins. But the more wheel spin you get, the worse it'll be, I promise. Okay? Do you buy it?
Was he on the brake? Matt. Well, sorry, that one.
What?
Is this going to be a problem?
Yeah, you might have to crack it open. We can't change it now. Don't got time. He's going to have it slightly cracked open. If it's fogging, you got to have it open. Sometimes you have to get your finger in there, but don't do that until it's like what it needs, alright? Because once it's in there, then you'll be doing it every lap.
Yep.
Alright, mate?
So now all 16 cars have their wet tyres on. We're now lining up in the pit lane, ready to go back out. The marshals, as always, doing a fantastic job of ensuring that we're safe and ready to go. Helmet, visors down, wiped, which I don't think is going to do a huge amount considering the spray. So as we're rolling through the pits, I'm seeing the puddles, I'm seeing the spray coming off of the cars in front, and I'm starting to think this is going to be extremely interesting. And obviously going out for the first time, you're really there to check out the track. The grandstand on the left, so little fist bump up to the friends watching up on there. And going around turn 1 with a huge dip in it, I've started to realise the challenge ahead of us now. So I don't know how we're going to warm up these tyres. So we're going to skip ahead and we're going to go straight to the race start. So after 2 laps under the safety car, we get the green light and we're racing. So we're following down the main straight here at Brands, and because this is one of the slower guys at the back, Davey, I'm just going to launch up the inside, but we're not sure where the grip is yet, so we can't really commit. We don't want to wash out and smash into the side of him, so instead we just go through. We put our hand up to let Tom Westworth through. So Tom was starting at the back due to a DNF the race before, but he did qualify in the wet P2, so it doesn't make sense to hold him up. Now that's a huge save, so we're going to slow it down and show you that was full lock and basically nearly me in the barriers there. So on the first lap we've nearly lost it already, but we have to continue and we need to keep going. So this is Dan Hunter, first season F1000, and the first time we're going into the spray, into the light, which we realise that there's going to be absolutely no visibility in this race whatsoever through that section. So obviously going into the last corner we can see all the spray from the drivers in front, and again the reflection of the sun off the track. As we make it around the final corner, behind us you can see blue skies, which is a little confusing. The people in the grandstand obviously quite grateful they're able to watch without getting rained on and see a wet weather race. So this is, we're coming up behind Stuart Miller, also his first year in racing. We line it up and we're trying to make a pass up the inside. You can see all the water and the spray coming off the tyres there. Really interesting seeing how these new Hoosier wet tyres are working for us. There's actually a lot more grip in them than I realised, and as we're going here, starting to feel it. Obviously Tom's a little ways down the road now, got to try and keep up with him. Out of turn 3 again, the glare in the helmet, in a tinted visor. I promise you it was a lot worse. It was very difficult to see anything with the spray, with the water. You kind of were doing about 80% just based on muscle memory and gut feel rather than what you could actually see. Now, if you're enjoying this, I would definitely keep watching. It's obviously a short lap, that's why there's 16 of them. But we do catch up to these in front very shortly. Of course, trying to stay away from all of the paint on the lines, the green paint on the exit curbs, and of course trying to avoid the curbs where possible because usually they're very slippery. You can see us fighting with the wheel there as we're trying to get the power down around the final corner. It's a tough one to get the power down anyway in the dry, so of course wet making it a lot more difficult. So now we've caught up to Kayls Cole. Kayls has been racing in F1000 good 3 years now, so this is our first main bit of competition so far in the race. Of course, no offence to the boys before, but they are only in their first season, and I mean, fair play to them doing a wet race in their first season. I've done 2.5 years now before I've had to do it. But Kayls is going to be someone that is not going to be easy to overtake, and someone that's going to have to take some skill, try and analyse where she's slower, where I'm faster. And of course this means it's going to be a lot more challenging going into some of these corners because it's not going to be an easy pass. Seem to have a good run out that final corner. We're definitely gaining through the straight here. Definitely too far back to launch a move. But we are gaining through turn 1, carrying a bit more minimum speed, and we're getting really into the spray. We just have a little look. We're not going to make the move. We know how that's going to end up if I tried. Kayls is taking a wet line, probably from all her karting experience, whereas I was a bit tight-head. Nearly went onto the grass there, which would have been game over, but luckily it wasn't. Into the glare we go again. I find this corner here, Surtees, very interesting because you're throwing it in still at just shy of 90 miles an hour in the wet with no real room for error. So it was a very challenging part of the circuit. But we're coming back around the final corner. And we're a bit far back now. But we're braking later. Carrying more speed, catching up. Trying to avoid that curb there because that would definitely punt you into the shadow roam. Now we move to the left here. I think that was a bit close to my liking to the grass, re-watching it. Another example where that could have been game over, but luckily we didn't do anything stupid. And you can see the silhouette of the car in front, and now you can't, and then you can. But I think we're definitely gaining as a pair on the two in front of Kayls here. So hopefully we're going to be in the mix for some overtakes and a battle very, very soon. Oversteer on the exit, but we managed to get the power down and not lose any time. To Kayls, obviously I lost time by skidding. We're using a lot of patience here, something I don't usually have. Nibble the curb on the inside. Can't see anything going down through there. And now we're having a little go. We released the brakes a little bit. We thought we'd try Kayls' wet line here. Doesn't seem to work. Bit of oversteer on the exit. Gaining quite a lot of speed through here, which is a little nerve-wracking considering you can't see the car exactly. And now we're in a really good slipstream here. We're getting smashed by the water, but we're going to pop it out up the inside. A little bit of a later brake. Again, similar to the first overtake. We're not sure if we're going to get it done, but we commit and we get past. And now we're on to our other teammate, Ryan Thomas, who's ahead. We're trying to take a very different line. There was some more grip, according to my driver coach, Matt, on the inside of the exit of Druids there. He noticed that Matt Higginson, who won the championship, was taking a very different line to everyone else, so gave me that advice after quali and told me to try and follow him. It kind of worked. I did feel that there was more grip on the inside, but I think it was my entry into that grip that wasn't good. We're right behind Ryan now, and we nearly lose it. So that was a big snap. That probably would have had a good go at Ryan here, probably would have overtaken him on this straight if I hadn't made that mistake, but now we've just added another lap to have to try and do this. Carrying a little bit more speed through turn one. Because we nudged the curb, I think we had to lift off a little bit. And then we carry some decent speed into Druids, but again, we're struggling to get the power down on the exit, unsurprisingly. Notice how the two cars in front took very different lines there. Eric Cow went out a lot wider, Ryan took a tighter line. I managed to keep the power down and we're gaining on him now. We're in his slipstream. We definitely have more engine power than Ryan, so we're probably going to make a fairly easy pass here. We've launched up the inside. We've got Eric blocking him on the outside, but no, Ryan holds us off. He does a really good job there and just holds his line. Apparently my driver coach Matt on the grandstand was swearing at me because I didn't commit. I should have just gone for it and got it done, but obviously the stakes are too high in this. Ryan's had enough issues to not have me take him out of the race. Now we've caught up to a back marker. The two cars in front I'm racing, and there's the back marker, the yellow car in front of them, and this car is probably the worst part. I could have caught up to him, so I just have to commit and get it done, which we do without losing too much time to the cars in front. Again, we've managed to get the power down nicely, and I seem to think we're gaining on Ryan again here. I think we're going to be able to have a chance to go for a move, but like we did last time, we don't bother because we're a bit further back. I don't think we're going to bother going for it into Druids here, but we are going to go up around the outside possibly. Just trying to do a different line to what he's doing, try and find some grip where he isn't. And again, we've caught up to another back marker, Stewart, so we're just going up the inside here. We didn't get as compromised as Ryan did, who caught him up right into the corner. We managed to pass without losing any time. Another back marker in another unfortunate position here, right on the apex of the corner where it's blind, but we've managed to get round without losing any time and still right onto the back of Ryan here. I don't think we're going to bother making any sort of move here where it's not on. Bear in mind that the car in front of Ryan, Eric Kayls, this is actually his first season in F1000. So like the others, impressive to have to do this in the first season, but even more impressive that he's ahead of two people that have been racing a good year and a half longer than him. Now Ryan's clipped the green there, and it sent him into the shadow realm. So I will play that again. An unfortunate end to Ryan's race. Now he did keep it out of the wall, I want to say, with some really interesting wheel work. I'll play it at the end of this video, so not to interrupt the race, but he managed to keep it out of the wall whilst going backwards, which was pretty impressive. He came back on the track and managed to get it going again. Unfortunate because he was keeping me off. I don't think I really would have made a move, but now we've opened up to go after Eric Kayls here. Turn 1 we seem to be pretty confident, later on the brakes and pretty keen through it. And we catch up to him pretty well into Druids here. See how we do on the exit. The usual. Eric a bit twisty through the exit of turn 3. Some of you might be wondering, am I cold? Am I wet in the car? I've been asked that question a few times. And the answer is actually no, because of the speed we're obviously going, the water's actually not going into our race suit. It's not actually that bad, and obviously with the intensity of the racing, having to hold the wheel really tight, it's not really something that I noticed. Obviously in karting or something like that, you tend to get soaking wet on your feet. That said, I do remember as we were driving out the pits, because there is sort of a gap in the floor in these cars, I did notice as I went through a puddle slowly it splashed up and soaked my feet. So I'm kind of contradicting myself here, but in the racing when you're going fast you don't really notice it, the water's going over you. However, I did start the race with wet feet, so that wasn't fun. Not great for the pedals either, but we did have grip tape on the pedals because we knew that there's likely to be rain. He said going out on slick tyres. So we caught up to Eric here. There's been some alright battles going on. Another big snap on the exit, probably because we nibbled the curb, which would have unsettled us. Eric a bit sideways through that corner, me too. We're knowing that there can't be a lot of time left in this race. And in the spray, that was the checkered flag out. I'll be honest, I didn't actually see a last lap board. I've checked the video, I don't think there was one. I'm not to say there wasn't. I trust the marshals did, but obviously in all the spray, I didn't see it. So just hands up, thanking the marshals, thanking the spectators, everyone for taking the time to sit there in the, what wasn't rain, but in the cold and wet, watching us. I think we put on a massive show. I am going to finish the video by going through the pit lane, showing you how wet it was in there, driving back through from the pit lane to the awning and into the paddock, which is at Brands Hatch. You have to go through what I call the secret tunnel. For those racers that used to race at Brands Hatch, it'll be a nice little memory. But just wanted to thank you for watching this video. I've got a lot more onboards from my races this season where my driving has improved significantly, and there's some really good ones. I'd recommend P7 to podium at Silverstone, and obviously when I raced at Silverstone against F3 cars earlier in the year. Really grateful to the marshals again, stood out in the freezing cold and the wet, and of course the respect to the other drivers as well. We actually got asked by the organisers of the event to all meet and congregate at the end of the day, which usually is a bad thing. I don't think it's ever been for a positive reason. However, this time they decided that we had done so well in the race and everyone kept out of the wall, no one crashed. Yes, Ryan went off onto the grass, but he kept it going. But there was no incidents or crashes or yellow flags throughout an entire wet race. It could be so easy not to torque up the wheels properly or to make a mistake, something that would have been extremely dangerous under the time pressure. So yeah, just huge hats off to all the mechanics, the teams, the ones that made that race possible. So now enjoy the secret tunnel